Hello everybody. In this video we're going to be finding out the width of this edge on this box here. So we have a rectangle with an area of 4,784 centimeters squared, bounded by this boundary or edge which has a width of x, and we want to figure out how wide is this edge. So for the rectangle and the boundary together, there's a length of 120 centimeters and a height of 80 centimeters. So how do we find the x? The area of a rectangle is length times width. So I'm going to be calling this length A and this length B. And that means that A times B is equal to 4,784, sorry. We have this equation, but we do not have an x in our equation, so we don't have an x to solve for, but we're trying to solve for x, so we need to rewrite our equation to solve it in terms of x. So A is this 80 centimeter length subtracted by this width here and this width here, and each width has a length of x, which means that A, the total length of A is going to be this 80 minus the 2x's. So 80 minus 2x. And then the B, same thing for the B. It has a length of 120 minus the length of the 2x's here. Okay, so that gives us our new A and B rewritten in terms of x, which means that we can write our new equation for the area as 80 minus 2x times 120 minus 2x is equal to 4,784. We have this new equation here, so now let's solve for x. First thing we want to do is simplify the left side, which means let's multiply the two terms together. So these two terms, right, in parentheses, meaning we multiply, and inside each term there are two terms to their own with the each thing, which means we multiply 80 by 120 and 2x, and we multiply the negative 2x, sorry, this is also negative 2x, times the negative 2x. Okay, so let's see, 80 times 120 is 9,600. Negative 2 times 120, negative 2x times 120 is negative 240x. 80 times negative 2x is negative 160x. And negative 2x times negative 2x is positive 4, because negative times negative makes a positive. And then x times x is x squared, all equal to 4,784. So we want to write this in terms so we can put it in the quadratic formula. Let's simplify everything first and then bring it all to one side so we have 0 on the right. So 4x squared, I'm going to write it first. Next, it's the x's. So negative 240x minus 160x is negative 400x. And then 9,600 minus 4,784. So I'm going to remove it from this side. Is 4,816 positive. And this is all equal to 0. can we simplify this further? Yes, we can. If you notice, there's a 4 in each terms here, so we can just cancel out 4. Or we can just divide this whole thing by 4. 0 divided by 4 is still 0. And then 4x squared divided by 4 is just x squared. The 4 cancel out. 400x divided by 4 is 100x. And then 4,816 divided by 4 is harder, but it is 1,204. Alright, so we have our new equation here that we're going to plug into the quadratic formula. Alright, so here we have our quadratic formula. If you recall, it's negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So, in the quadratic formula, the a value is always the coefficient before the x squared in an equation or any variable squared. So the a is here, and notice how this is just x squared, nothing in front, meaning it's multiplied by 1. So our a value is 1. The b value is always the coefficient of the single variable, which is the x here. So this is our b value, which is negative 100, and then our c is always the constant. So c is 1,204. Alright, now let's plug it in to our quadratic formula, quadratic equation. Okay, so negative b, which is negative 100, plus minus square root of b squared, so negative 100 again, squared, minus 4a. Remember we said a was 1 because there's no coefficient in front of the x squared. a1, and then c is 1,204 all over 2 times a, which is 1. Okay, so now we have our formula, and now let's simplify it. So negative times negative 100 give us positive 100, plus or minus negative 100 squared is 10,000, positive 10,000. Remember, square a negative number, you still get positive. Minus 4 times 1 is just 4, times 1,204 is 4,816 over 2. Which will give us 100 plus minus 10,000 minus 4,816 is 5,184 over 2. And then if we square 5,184, we get 72 over 2. Okay, so now we got rid of our square root, which is nice, and simplify it further. Let us just divide each term by 2. So 10 divided by 2, not 10, sorry, 100, my mistake. 100 divided by 2 is 50 plus or minus 36, which is 72 divided by 2. Alright, so x is equal to 50 plus or minus 36. So remember, whenever we use the quadratic formula, we're always going to get 2 answers, okay? So this means that x, so I'm going to call it x1, is going to be 50 plus 36. And then x2, which how I'm going to call it, is going to be 50 minus 36. Alright, this means that x can equal to 86. 86. Or it can equal to 50 minus 36, which is 14. Alright, so now we have two answers. We have two possible answers that fit the criteria. So now how do we decide which one's the correct answer? Let's just look at the problem and try to see which one makes more sense. So notice the first solution says that this width is 86 centimeters, but this height here is 80 centimeters, and it wouldn't make sense for this width to be larger than this length here, as you could clearly see, which means this answer does not make sense. Which leaves us with 14 centimeters, which is our answer on how wide the edge is. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and see you next time. Bye.